You're a unique person to talk to because you, of all people I know, are a true independent. And you truly are that, and you don't find really true independence, especially in national politics.
Well, I think I've known quite a few that are independents that were with the previous administration, and that was the success of the previous administration. And when then candidate Trump approached me and asked for support, I looked at him strictly as a businessman. You know, my family started Univision. It is Hispanic Heritage Month, and it was about the same time when I started looking at the presidential candidates and who would endear himself to being representative of all communities, and with respect to the proud Americans of Hispanic descent. And I wanted to support the candidate from an independent perspective that would appreciate independent values. And that's why I supported him. And that's why, as the co-chairman of the Latinos for Youngkin campaign, is why I decided as an independent to agree to be a co-chairman and to support Glenn Youngkin for governor.
4 years ago, you supported Terry McAuliffe, correct?
Well, now, to be fair and to be accurate, with total disclosure, when Terry McAuliffe ran for governor, he ran against a Republican who was against birthright citizenship, who tried to deny freedom of speech for Hispanics in the private sector. Actually, as a state senator, he put in a bill that would prevent Latinos, Italians, anybody from any foreign country from speaking their native tongue at the workplace. They would have been penalized, maybe even lost their jobs. Now that demonstrated to me that this Republican candidate was unworthy to serve. He didn't get my vote. He did not get my support. And yes, that is why I supported Terry McAuliffe. However, watching Terry McAuliffe legislate as a governor, I was sorely disappointed with some of the things he tried to do and in his history. You know, if you study green tech and what he did to the people of Mississippi, and that might have happened in Virginia and other issues, the death rate spiraled under his tenure as governor, and he demonstrated to me that he was not supportive of law enforcement. And today, with Terry McAuliffe's refusal to denounce critical race theory, well, that was the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people.
Do you see critical race theory as an important issue in this election cycle?
I think it's the most dominant issue for every mother and father that has a child in public school. You know, my family, and my uncle Raul was a civil rights icon in his own right. We started Univision. We advanced by our character, by our mental ability. We supported everything that Dr. Martin Luther King supported. It was not about the melanin level in our skin. That is what critical race theory is about. And that is why it's a racist concept. It is being taught in Virginia schools. It was demonstrated by the Stafford Board of Supervisors in a recent school board meeting to the interim superintendent that tried to misrepresent the facts when it was demonstrated to him, proven to him, that the reference material used to promote critical race theory was being used in Stafford schools. And once he was aware of it, they removed it quickly. And that demonstrates to you it's problematic and people are putting their heads in the sand.
Hispanic Heritage Month. Let's go back to that for a second as we talk about a number of things here. This is an important. This is for the Latino community. This is an important time. Are candidates paying attention to the issues?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because Glenn Youngkin's paying attention to the issue. Winsome Sears, the former Marine running for lieutenant governor, is paying attention. Jason Mayaras, whose family immigrated from Cuba, his mother came with literally just the clothes on her back. They understand, and our community understands that we've achieved it all as a community, regardless of our skin color, and we should be prideful of our advances. You know, the Secretary of the Navy, Carlos del Toro, was from this region, proud American of Hispanic descent. You know, we celebrate his achievements. And unfortunately, at times they are individuals in office that disrespect our community, who was then the chairman of the Board of Supervisors, Paul Mildy, did, and the community turned against him. He did not win when he ran for delegate. Now he's trying to run for supervisor in the acquired district again. He doesn't have my support, and he doesn't have a lot of support of the Hispanic community there because of his act of disrespect. And it's important to respect all communities. You know, Hispanic Heritage Month is a federal mandate, and he refused to recognize that. The rest of the board righted his wrong. He's never apologized. Maybe he will now.
It's interesting that you seem, as at least you represent a lot of that community. You can't pigeonhole you into any kind of. I mean, you look at either candidates or individual topics, all individually.
It is about character. It is about topics. It is not. I encourage people not to join a party. I encourage people to vote the courage of their conviction. Call a spade, but get involved. Study the issues. Study candidates' history. And this is what's going to advance us. I want to believe that Glenn Youngkin is going to be a responsible governor, but I will also be watching him. I will be advising him if he seeks my advice. And even if he doesn't, I will be tactful in my communication when I think he's wrong. And I continue to do that regardless of which side of the aisle. As I've communicated with Joshua Cole about critical race theory. He refuses to communicate back, which is troubling to me, where Tara Durant has reached out in his opponent. And let's see how that race turns out. It'll be the people who chooses.
What other issues in the governor's race are you looking at? Do you think are concerning, or are you keeping an eye on?
Well, law enforcement. Law enforcement is a critical issue. And I'm saddened that Terry McAuliffe is not supporting law enforcement as responsibly as he should. And veterans issues. You know, I'm a disabled Vietnam veteran who was wounded in Vietnam in 1970. Glenn Youngkin has stated without equivocation that he's going to lower taxation on veterans and ensure veterans care is improved upon. You know, I'm also the chairman of the National Vet Court Alliance. It's a nonprofit group that provides assistance. We mentor veterans in Judge Ricardo Regal's court in Spotsylvania County. He is a veteran himself. And it is through groups like that with state funding, which we have not been getting, and we went to the state, they turned us down. We want to believe, and it was a funding issue. Of course, they got billions from the federal government, but they couldn't give a nonprofit to help veterans that are getting a second chance in veteran treatment courts a little funding. We want to believe that Glenn Youngkin is there, will be there, and veterans will get the respect that they deserve.
Statewide, it's been a long time since a Republican has won a contest. I guess you know that going in.
Well, I do, and I think that there's a movement for change, and people want change. We want responsible change. The people will choose, Ted, and you know, with organizations like you that are allowing people to speak the truth to power. Let's see what happens in November.
We all will await November 2nd to see what happens. We also should mention that you mentioned President Trump, but you're also involved with the current White House, correct?
I've been a presidential appointee under the Hispanic Prosperity Commission with President Trump and President Biden. So now the president is putting together a new board, which is his right, but you know, I can show my independent vote status. I serve a Democrat and I served Republicans. It is about the office of that office, not the political party.
That's why, Daniel, when we started out and I said that you're one of the true independents that I know, and it's true. You know, local to national, you really look at the person and their whole record.
Well, I do, and that's why people like Rob Whitman, who's a remarkable public servant. There is no finer member of Congress than Rob Whitman, serving veterans, law enforcement, educators, and that's why he's running for re-election. You know, he has my total support, and I made it well known to him that I'm not a member of a party and could not support him as an organized member of any party. But he's had my support. He continues to have majority support. So when we have good people like him, it's easy to stay independent because they do listen to us.
Well, and Daniel, it's really in these days where things at times can, with the parties, get so mixed up. But that's a great way to approach every election.
Well, I want to believe that, and this is why Republicans have lost in the past. They refuse to embrace the independent vote, the independent leaders, and they're out there. It's not just one. I can assure you they're out there. They won't bring them to the table, but now I see Glenn Youngkin bringing us to the table, and I want to believe and I pray for his campaign. It will achieve the dividend he wants for Virginia.
It's an important election too for
Most
Virginia.
important. I've already voted. I encourage every one of your listeners, vote early, but vote.